Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we have ourselves a sustained green market today. XRP has just hit $1.25 you will be seeing here, and I think it's trying to get to, I believe, what was it? I think maybe it was Crypto Wizard who had said we were looking at $1.25 to like $1.48, and it is working its way towards that. I want to show you this. CNBC had the Bitcoin proof of work parade going on this morning. Here's another clip from CNBC this morning, talking about higher lows, I guess, in Bitcoin, but she's talking about cryptocurrencies in general.
Yeah, the opposite of non-correlated. And what a lot of people hope that it eventually becomes not a measure of the easy Fed, but an antidote to the easy Fed, and I don't know if we're there yet. There's also people talk about whether it's a store of value or whether it becomes a currency. If it were to stay at 42,000 and that became a long-term base, that would go a long way towards allaying fears that it's headed back to 20 or below that. Because in the past it got to 20, went all the way back down to 3,000 or 4,000. Do you foresee, is that still a potential with Bitcoin in your view?
The potential is for volatility, right? So we can't really be predictive in that sense. What we've seen so far is just a loss of short-term momentum, but long-term momentum is very much to the upside behind most cryptocurrencies. And late last year, we saw these massive base breakouts. So those base breakouts left very strong support in their wake with the upside follow through that we saw. So I think we'll see higher lows established, broadly speaking, and that there's probably a lot of institutions out there looking to add exposure into this kind of corrective phase. They want to get that sort of uncorrelated exposure, and hopefully it will end up.
Let me tell you something. I want to tell you, this inspired me to tell, I want to tell you guys about I was talking to Brad Combs on the phone this morning, and I laid out just sometimes when you're in a phone conversation, you just piece everything together in your mind, and I want to lay it out for you. This is what I think. Nothing about the way the government, or not the government, but the way the powers that be are pushing proof of work, which does not work, nothing about it has ever made sense. But let me put it in a context that I laid it out when I was talking to Brad Combs, and we both kind of, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but we both laid it out in our minds. And this is what I think the reason is for all of these institutions and big money people pushing the media. Everybody's pushing this, and they all know that it doesn't. They all know that proof of work, the mining thing, is not what's going to change the financial system. They all know. Let me lay this out the way I see it, just so those of you out there listening, listen to what I'm about to tell you. This is what I think happened, because make no mistake, I'll say that real slow, make no mistake, Bitcoin was created by governments, not by some guy in a bathroom. It was created by a group of people, governments, or people that work for governments for a reason. Here's the reason I believe. I believe that when the financial crisis of 2008 happened, they had been working, we know they had been working on digital currencies for decades. Jerome Powell said so. I believe that in the financial crisis, they knew that when they began all the money printing and the bailing out, and they knew they were going to have to do it for the next 10 years. I believe that this thing was put out by the government to look like a libertarian movement because they wanted all of the inflation that was created from their money printing. Anybody who said, wait, this isn't sustainable, they wanted that money to go into these proof of work digital assets that they were going to be pushing on the other end. They wanted the money to flow into those things instead of flowing into physical gold. That's what the central banks have been accumulating for all these years. And then one fine day, when they are done talking their book, and all these big players, and I think all the big players know, and they'll be told, I believe at some point, the play has always been that they are going to tax the living you-know-what out of proof of work digital assets, probably through a carbon tax of some sort. Think about it from the government's perspective. So you fueled all this money in. Here's what else you did. For 10 years, you said that this money was for, there was a whole narrative that this was for money laundering. It was only for money laundering and for bad guys. So what idea would that plant in the heads of the bad guys? They would say, hey, we can go hide our money in this Bitcoin thing. And so they would. Meanwhile, the same governments that created this thing are sitting there tracking the living you-know-what out of those people. So now they know where all the dirty money is. Then, one fine day, when everybody's made plenty of money through this plan, then all of a sudden you announce that there's going to be a massive carbon tax or whatever on proof of work digital assets. Then the government then gets to cash in on everything that they put in motion, and then it's all transitioned into the digital assets that are going to be the ones that actually change the world, the ones that are not proof of work, because proof of work was never going to change a financial system. I believe that I just laid out for you exactly what this is, and you are not going to be told that most of these crypto people are going to toe the Bitcoin line. They're going to toe the Ethereum proof of work line. They're going to go right along with it. But I think that that's what this was. I think they knew that there was a hazard with all the money printing and bailing out all their Wall Street buddies, that the investing public would get wise to it and they would look for alternatives. I believe they created this alternative for that money to go to. I was sucked into it in the early days too, but now I'm wiser. Now I've seen it all. I know that proof of work does not work. And it's always left me scratching my head wondering why are they doing this? Because I know that this isn't what is going to change everything. Because the other digital assets, the ones that have real utility, and the ones that many of them were also, in my opinion, created by governments, but those were the ones that are going to change everything. It's not Ethereum proof of work. I can promise you that. Just go and buy something right now and look at the gas fees. It's very obvious that's not going to be the one. Okay, so I just laid, in my opinion, I just laid something out for you that yeah, it's my theory, but I'm just telling you, this is the things that you see in the media. It is not as it appears. You are not being given the full story in what you're seeing in the media. And I'm trying my best to give it to you. Okay, look at this. Rob XRP. Here's a lot of these chart people. Now, again, I'm not a chart guy. It's not my thing, but I like reading some of their things. But a lot of these people are getting in line with each other in terms of they're all saying an all-time high is coming. And all of that, the caveat there is of course some awful news or whatever that can happen too. But anyway, this guy says, what a great chart to wake up to. We are currently working in between the two blue arrows, optional wick down at the end red at the red arrow, target range $3.08 to $5.10 remains. Enjoy the ride up. I am here to enjoy the ride up. If I can get that $5.10, for those of you that have been listening to me for a long time, I promised my kids a dog that I would name, a weenie dog that I would name Ripple if we ever got there, okay? So $5 is the magic number for my son's dogs. My 15-year-old probably doesn't even want a dog anymore. He's more interested in other things now, if you know what I mean. All right, Jeremy Hogan, the SEC, and by the way, don't go dirty there. I just mean he's now starting to discover girls, I think, probably. Or he won't admit it, but I think he is. Jeremy Hogan. And by the way, I hope my son's class is not listening to this video, because the other day he said that his teacher played my video for their class, which I thought was pretty crazy. Okay, Jeremy Hogan says the SEC versus Ripple court is paying attention. They recently increased the call-in capacity to 4,000 people, and I think the judges know exactly which side the people who call in are on. So call in this Friday and let the judges know people are watching and care. I really do hope that these judges are really listening, because, you know, the one thing that I've seen over the last 6 months in this country, or in this world, people don't trust their governments anymore. And they know that what's been done by Jay Clayton, they know the way this is handled. Even if Jay Clayton really did believe that XRP was a security, the way this was done smells to high heaven. And I think the judge knows that the people can sense that. And I think that there's always a way out of people that have done something that everyone knows is wrong, even if it's in the way they handled it. I think this judge seems to be pretty common sense, and maybe that's why she's letting all these people in. But I think that there's a stink, and I think that there's a lot of areas of our government, not just the U.S., all governments, that need to be cleaned up. And I think this case is a representative of a lot of that stink that we can all smell out here. So these are the call-in numbers. What's the date on this? It's going to be on the 30th. So, all right. John Deaton put this out. Now, I wanted to show you this, and I'm hoping I might just let you go watch it because it's got some music, and I'm worried that you might that there might be some copyright issues there. But this is Joseph Grunfest, and he says, watch the 4-minute video of former SEC chairman or SEC Commissioner Joseph Grunfest. Ironically, it was Grunfest that sent the letter to Clayton warning him not to file the case. He said there's no difference between Ethereum and XRP, but what's scary is that this video lets you enter the mind of a career regulator. In 2015, he said the challenge of whether the Bitcoin itself is a security, and there the answer, I think, is a resounding sometimes. Hester Pierce said in an interview with Thinking Crypto that the SEC tends to think the token itself is as the security. We know that the SEC told the judge recently that the SEC has never taken an official position on Bitcoin or Ethereum. Crypto is on trial, and I think he's right. But go watch that video. That guy is really smart and lays it out. Jeff Sutton put this out. Breaking: Trevor Lawrence has signed an endorsement deal with cryptocurrency portfolio management app Blockfolio. The interesting part, he accepted his signing bonus exclusively in crypto, which is already worth more today than it was when deposited on Friday. And there was also another one that was sent to me by at Dave6971 from this guy. Breaking: Sean Culkin of the Kansas City Chiefs will receive 100% of his $920,000 base salary in Bitcoin. It makes the most logical sense to be paid in sound money that I believe protects its purchasing power over time. The world is changing. Now, I want to show you this video right here. But first, I want to show you what it's from, because that's important. This is from September 16th of 2016. It was put out by the Digital Currency Group. Do not forget who the Digital Currency Group is. Digital Currency Group is one of the first shareholders of Ripple and Coinbase, and it's run by its CEO, Barry Silbert. Okay? Watch this video, and then we'll go show you a little bit on Barry Silbert. Real XRP boy.
So let's talk about some of the disadvantages naturally that we see with Bitcoin and Ethereum in contrast to XRP. The first thing is the governance of Bitcoin and Ethereum. The Bitcoin supply, transaction validation, and protocol are controlled by a handful of mining pools. Ethereum recently experienced a fork in the aftermath of the DAO hack. So there's just a couple of examples. I mean, when you look at both the Bitcoin and Ethereum networks, they're both run largely by several mining pools in China. And from an institutional perspective, that might work for retail, but from an institutional perspective, that's definitely that represents a certain degree of systemic risk that's not viable for commercial adoption. From a speed perspective, Bitcoin settlement takes about 60 minutes longer than XRP. And from a risk perspective, there are several issues that BTC and Ethereum both represent. The first is exposure. Longer settlement times on both the Ethereum network and the Bitcoin network but the Bitcoin network in particular, creates exposures and risk that are simply not tolerable for any real transaction flows coming from a large transaction bank. There are misaligned incentives. When we look at the Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin in particular, Bitcoin miners want small block sizes, for example, but the system needs a large block size to scale. From a security perspective, Ethereum is an untested and incomplete system. In fact, it's even written in an unknown scripting language. So XRP stands apart in three primary areas here that we're touching on. Again, governance, speed, and the distribution of XRP. On the governance side, XRP and the Ripple consensus ledger that underpins it is run and operated by institutional validators. MIT and Microsoft are examples of that. All of our bank partners run validators or connect to validators.
Who told you that a long time ago? I told you that the validators were going to be run by governments, institutions, the bank customers. They're the ones that are running validators. It's not going to come down to you and me running validators at our home. They could give a rat's behind whether or not we personally are running validators. The validators are going to be run by these government entities around the world, the banks that are a part of the Ripple network, the freaking central banks. That's where your validators are going to be. It's going to be run by responsible governments and banks and institutions and companies like Microsoft. They just mentioned Microsoft's running a validator, SEC, and they mentioned banks. But back to Digital Currency Group. So that video clip you just heard, Barry Silbert, that's his company. They're basically telling you all of the things that are better about XRP than Barry Silbert. And at the same time, remember the date on this. This is September of 2016. Look what Barry Silbert wrote in October 27th of 2016. I'm with you. Digital Currency Group only own Bitcoin, XRP, Ripple XRP, Ethereum Classic, and now Zcash. Then it says, in your view, that one will emerge the winner, that the world will support multiple currencies. My view, Bitcoin is digital gold, XRP is Swift 2.0, Ethereum Classic is gas for the Internet of Things, Zcash equals private transactions. Barry Silbert to me, is symbolic of what I gave you earlier in this video. I guess you'd call it Bitcoin theory or proof of work theory. The reason all of these major media outlets and all these major institutions and these big guys like Barry Silbert, the reason they're all talking their book and they'll talk about it's like all of them are marching in lockstep and preach Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum. It's all they're doing. Everybody's talking their book. But I laid out what I think this is all about at the beginning of this video, and with Barry Silbert's tweets alone, you can kind of see that I'm right. Look at this. This is Barry Silbert. Now look, remember, they were doing presentations on how great XRP is compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin at the Digital Currency Group, September 2016. October 2016, he's admitting that XRP is a part of their holdings. Fast forward to 2019, and he's saying this, July 16th, 2019, he's replying to someone. He says, Ripple, the company, is our largest investment. XRP is not on our conviction list of holdings yet. Super bullish on the company, neutral on the token as of now. Well, he wasn't neutral on October 27th of 2016 when they were invested in it. Are we supposed to believe that he sold it? Because I do not. And it was on his it had to be on his conviction list here because it presents the future of payments, and it's from his company, the Digital Currency Group, and they are laying out all the things that's better about XRP than either Ethereum or Bitcoin. And then it's on his conviction list here a month later. And somehow, what happened with Ripple? The only thing that I saw happening with Ripple between 2016 and 2019 was signing banks left and right and meeting with central banks and doing all sorts of things. But somehow, we're supposed to believe that it came off of his conviction list. There's a word for that, and the initials for it are BS, okay? All right, I'm going to finish this. I want to remind you all, in the Unstoppable Domains, they're still doing their premium domains NFT sale. I'm going to put a link to this in the top of the description. They've sold broker.crypto for $50,000. They sold investments.crypto for $25,000, portfolio.crypto for $25,000. But let's say that you're a financial advisor, let's say in Atlanta. Atlanta financial advisor.crypto might be something. You could look for that and you could buy it for $40 or whatever, or Atlanta exterminator. I'm just making up examples here. But these are just some of the premiums that have never been for sale that are for sale now. But you can also go and search type in a name, any kind of name you can think of, and you might be able to get the .crypto for $40. Go check it out. I'll put the link at the top. And also, a lot of people asking me about this, the VPNs. Anytime this crypto market gets hot, you can be assured all the bad guys are out here. I highly recommend having a virtual private network set up on your computer so that you can surf the web anonymously and try to keep the hackers away from you. This will also be in the top of my description. It's Pure VPN. There's a 7-day trial for only 99 cents. These guys always have a great deal going. I'll put this link in the top of the description as well. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family what my Bitcoin proof of work theory is. Thanks for listening.